In this story, justice followed every rule. Every form was signed. Every procedure was respected. Every deadline was met. And yet, the wrong person lost their life to the system. Not because the truth was hidden, but because the truth was inconvenient. This is not a story about criminals escaping justice. It is a story about justice doing its job and still failing completely. Because sometimes the most dangerous injustice is not chaos. It is order without truth. This young boy was ordinary in every visible way. Young enough to still be building his life. Old enough to understand responsibility. Known by neighbors as quiet, respectful, and forgettable. He had no powerful friends. No money, no influence. Just routines, just hope. Just the belief that not doing the wrong thing means nothing bad would happen. That belief would not survive what came next. A crime occurred. Details were unclear at first, but the pressure was immediate. Fear spread faster than facts. The public wanted answers, and they wanted them quickly. The demand was simple: find someone. Investigators began their work. They followed procedure. They filled out reports. They checked boxes. Soon, a suspect emerged, not because the evidence was strong, but because the system needed a direction. And once a direction is chosen, everything else starts pointing the same way. There were inconsistencies from the beginning. Witness statements conflicted. Timelines didn't align. Key details raised uncomfortable questions. But instead of slowing down, the process sped up, because slowing down creates doubt, and doubt threatens certainty, and certainty is what the system is built to deliver. So contradictions were labeled minor, missing details were called irrelevant, alternative explanations were ignored. The truth was not denied, it was simply set aside. The courtroom was quiet and formal. It looked like a place where truth would matter. The judge listened, the lawyers spoke, the rules were followed carefully. But courtrooms are not designed to ask what truly happened. They are designed to ask whether the process was followed, and the process was followed. Evidence was presented on time. Objections were made properly. Deadlines were respected. The most important facts, however, arrived late. And late truth does not count, because truth has no value once it misses procedure. He could not afford a strong defense. His lawyers was overworked, underpaid, and exhausted. Cases stacked up. Time was limited. No independent experts were brought in. No deep investigation was founded. No long delays were requested. Justice is supposed to be blind, but it sees class very clearly. The system did not hate him. It simply had no reason to protect him. The verdict was delivered calmly. No outrage, no drama, just legality. The judge followed precedent. The jury followed instruction. The law followed itself. And a life was quietly taken by the system, not with violence, not with cruelty, but with correctness. Years passed. Time did what the court could not undo. A family cried unanswered questions. A community adjusted to absence. The system closed the file. The case was resolved until the truth resurfaced. New evidence emerged, not rumors, not speculation. Facts, evidence that contradicted everything the verdict stood on. It should have changed everything, but it didn't, because acknowledging truth after judgment requires admitting failure, and systems are designed not to admit failure. They are designed to defend legitimacy. So the truth was acknowledged quietly, not denied, not corrected, just acknowledged. The real crime was never just the accusation. The real crime was a system that values procedure more than people. A system where being right matters less than being final. A system where truth has a deadline. This does not happen once, it happens often. Not because the law is evil, but because it is rigid, and rigidity breaks human lives. Justice does not always fail loudly. Sometimes it fails politely, legally, calmly, and that makes it harder to confront. Because how do you fight a system that insists it did everything right? That is why stories like this matter, not to destroy justice, but to remind it why it exists. Because when justice obeys rules but ignores truth, it stops being justice at all. Thank you for listening to this story. Thanks for watching this video. Kindly subscribe to our channel, like and share. Thanks for watching.